The only other team that we really noticed where it was like, okay, yeah, they should be back in the playoffs or have a good chance of being back in the playoffs was the New Orleans Saints. And I want to start off talking about this because the New Orleans Saints are led by none other than my favorite player in the NFL currently. All right. I call him the crab leg king. Some people call him many other names. Some call him the pick maestro. He's got a lot of nicknames. But Jameis Winston, the workout god, whatever you want to call him. Jameis Winston is leading this team, and Jameis Winston last year looked like a much improved player. Because he left Tampa Bay and he coming off the 30-30 season, and he goes under Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Well, he kind of has to sit behind that quarterback guru and one of the smartest quarterbacks in the history of the game. And it looked like last year he learned. Now, did he throw a couple of bad interceptions? Yes. But he also had a lot of games where you were like, did he really make any just boneheaded mistakes? Because it used to be he makes a boneheaded throw every quarter. And it was like, yeah, maybe he's won a game, which is a heck of a lot better because now he has Michael Thomas. So he's not working with the worst wide receiver core I've ever seen out of a team in the history of football because it was so atrocious. Like people talk about, Lamar Jackson doesn't have weapons. Jameis Winston last year had no weapons. He was walking out with Lil Jordan Humphrey, Marquez Callaway. You can say Taysom Hill at tight end. It was horrible.
You could say, in comparison to the rest of the league, his best skill player was his rookie tight end, Trouton. And the wide receiving core was the worst in the league.
Oh, yeah.
If not the worst, bottom three for sure, right? So, dude, it's like night and day. And MT's supposed to be healthy by week 1. He's supposed to be back. If he's there, that's obviously a massive difference. They basically said that in practice so far during training camp, he's looked like the exact same guy, which is something that you should be, if you're a Saints fan, going into training camp, you should have been concerned about that because we don't know what he's going to look like. He hasn't played in 2 years. But last time he played, granted, he had Drew Brees as a quarterback. They had a great chemistry, a lot of great chemistry, but he was a consistent top 3 wide receiver in terms of numbers. That's ridiculous. So they were that good. Also adding Olave, who is a sick player, a healthy Alvin Kamara. They have Mark Ingram back. And I know Mark Ingram's not the same guy at all, but there is something special about having both Kamara and Ingram in the backfield. Even when they were back together last year, you could feel it. It was a lot better.
Ingram's a great locker room presence. That dude is one of the best hype men. That is going to get the locker room going. He was one of the biggest reasons for Lamar Jackson's MVP year. The way that he just came in and he came up with the whole big trust thing. He was just free. It was amazing to watch. And Mark Ingram on the sideline hyping everybody up. Meet me outside the bank, come see me, all of that stuff. Now he's bringing that to Jameis Winston, Mr. Eat a W himself, not the greatest of hype men. Now you get yourself Mark Ingram, a great hype man.
Yeah, so I think for the Saints team, when I'm looking at it, in terms of the locker room stuff, you're right there, because there's a great guy to have. But also, the big loss is that they lost Teron Armstead, but then they drafted Trevor Penning in the first round. So that is a big deal. That is a big deal. You were changing your left tackle. You're going from a very great left tackle to someone that's a question mark. He's a rookie. I know he's really good, or he's supposed to be really good, but he's still a rookie. He's a rookie tackle. It's a large difference going in the NFL, changing the speeds and stuff like that. So they also lost a little bit in their secondary, but you look at it, they have Marcus May. Now, Marcus May is a prime bounce-back candidate in terms of coming back from his Achilles injury. If he's the same guy, he was sweet when he was on the Jets. He was a really, really good player. He was underrated. They also bring in Tyrann Mathieu. Now, he's not the same guy that he used to be. But I remember early on in the offseason, people were telling me he was going to get $30 million deal or something ridiculous. He did not end up getting that. But he's a solid addition to kind of band-aid their loss of Marcus Williams. So corners, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he was sweet last year. Marshawn Lattimore, enough said there. And then the other corner that's starting is Paulson Adebo, who I know that you like a lot. They already have one of the better front sevens in the league. Their defense is legit. Also, let's add this in. The NFC is not good. The NFC is very, very clearly the weaker of the two conferences. So if the O-line is pretty solid for Jameis, and Jameis doesn't force the ball as much as he used to, even if he does force the ball a little bit, he has sweet receivers now. They're going to be really good. Like they should 100% at least make a wild card team. And if the Bucks aren't good, because I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been happening with the Bucks, but the Bucks' entire interior offensive line is just like gone. Like they've had, I think, the one dude retired, and then I think they've had 3 guys that have had season-ending injuries. I believe 3 guys already. So like they're in a bad spot in terms of the interior, but like their defense is still really good. I don't know, dude. I'm pumped. I think Chris Olave is probably going to be, in terms of numbers wise, the best rookie receiver, just because he's a perfect scheme fit to put with Jameis. And so if Alvin Kamara is still healthy, because Alvin Kamara didn't look that great last year, but he was hurt and it was not a good, it was not a good offense and like a lot of weird stuff. If he can be what he looked like not last year, but the year before, they're going to be sweet. So big question mark at left tackle. And outside of that, there's really not that many question marks for this team in a weak conference where they have the Falcons and the Panthers in their division and should probably destroy those offenses.
Not only do they get to play the Falcons and the Panthers twice, they also play against the Seattle Seahawks. That is just another very, very easy victory. Like if you lose to the Seattle Seahawks, it's rough. And that's something to keep in mind. Now, they unfortunately play Cleveland at the end of the year, so that they don't get to squeak out one at the end of the year. But overall, like Chris Olave, I think is one of the most slept on draft picks in this draft, because what is Jameis known for? What was he drafted for? A cannon of an arm. He loves to throw the deep ball. Chris Olave made a living getting behind the defense and making big catches at the Ohio State. Then they have Michael Thomas, who is one of the best. I would say he is the best short, maybe even the best intermediate route runner in the NFL. I think like Devontae Adams is the best overall, but Michael Thomas is just filthy on in routes, out routes, slant routes. And I know everyone makes fun of the slant routes. And they're like, oh, he only runs slants. You know what? Michael Thomas may be the greatest slant route runner in the history of the NFL. The dude got 1,700 yards. He broke Marvin Harrison's reception record because nobody could cover him. Like everyone's like, oh, all he does is this. Yeah. Well, it's like running the same Madden play over and over again.
But you know why MT gets so much crap. It's because MT talks so much and people just clown him and he gets like bothered and stuff by it. Like that's why. Yeah. Like, but I'm not saying I completely agree, but that's definitely the reason why everyone wants to clown MT. I did want to add one more thing. So I looked at, because we're talking about Jameis, he likes to push the ball downfield, right?
Yeah.
Last year, do you know how much his interception rate declined from his 30-30 season?
I would guess it was down to like 2%.
It was the first season that he's ever had it under 2%. It was 1.9%.
Look at that.
In 2019, it was 4.8%. That is the highest number I've ever seen.
Like that shows you that, one, there was growth. And what's crazy about that number is none of the players he threw to were open, because none of them could create separation. Like, I mean, he was going out there and it was just like Jameis is known for like fitting it into a tight window. There was no, oh man, Jameis should have thrown it over there. It was like, no, Jameis made the best possible throw he could. Did it work out? Maybe not. But you know what? It was the best option he had.
And if they wouldn't have got hurt, they would have definitely made the playoffs. We're talking about that with the Ravens and Lamar, but they were very clearly going to make a wild card. So that's
with
another
Marquez Callaway and Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like that was, I mean, Lil Jordan Humphrey, I'm pretty sure is like 6'4", which is hilarious to me. But now all of a sudden you replace those two players, and I believe they still have Marquez Callaway on the roster, but Chris Olave is a much better player than Marquez Callaway. And Michael Thomas, there is a chance Michael Thomas comes back and he's just a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL still. Like, I think he's probably, like, I put him still top 10. I put him right around 10 right now because we just haven't seen him. But I mean, that dude he's got great hands and he gets open. And people make fun of him for having great hands and getting open. You know who doesn't get open? All of the receivers on that roster last year, and yet they were still winning games. Jameis was just going out there. It was like, All right, I got to drop this into a bucket from 55 yards out, and we'll see if he catches it. And it's like, oh, no, he didn't catch it.
I do think, though, to be fair, I think their defense did get a little bit worse.
Yeah.
And obviously the offensive line got worse losing Teron Armstead, but like it's like so different in the terms of weapons that they are not even comparable because of how like, and especially in today's NFL too, where like you look at like a lot of the really good teams, what do they have in common? They have sweet wideouts, they have a sweet quarterback, they have good passing game, good running game, and they're very offensive oriented most of the time. The Saints were not, bro. The Saints were like the least explosive team because that's the whole thing is like usually the Saints, even with Drew Brees, like new alarm Drew Brees, would still be explosive because Kamara would take a bunch, MT would take a slam, right? They have guys over the top. They had, Emmanuel Sanders there for a while. Like they had so many different guys. They were like, dude, because I would watch because I had Alvin Kamara in fantasy.
It was horrible.
It was not fun to watch.
It was avoid the Saints game. That was
don't want
the
to watch
whole
it. It'd be the most boring game of the weekend every time.
I'm like, I try and watch Jameis Winston whenever he's on TV. And like watching him with the Saints, I was like, what are they doing? Because it was like Jameis Winston, everyone is covered, throws a strike, 3-yard gain, Adam Troutman. And Ace, I think that could very well happen. I do like that prediction. Like, I mean, he's just going to go out there and it's like, yeah, will Jameis lose you a couple of games this season? Potentially. But also, he can win you a lot of games. And yeah, the LASIK surgery is real. All right. The 20/20 vision, it's no longer 30/30 vision. Now it's 20/20 vision. All right. Like overall, this team is much improved, and they are going to go out there and they're going to play very well.